challenges. We carry
Once again, Kamala Harris gets called out by Christian protesters, this time in a church in Philadelphia. Now, there's a lot to break down. We're going to play the clip of the protesters yelling at Kamala, but we're also going to dissect how Kamala all of a sudden changes her tune. She's all about protest. She's all about everyone having a voice. We will see the hypocrisy in that, but we will also see how Kamala loves to turn church into a circus event, and in my opinion is very offensive to Christians. So let's go ahead and break this all down. We have a lot to get through. Okay, so I'm going to play you the clip where Kamala starts to get called out by the protesters. Now, you'll see a very big shift in demeanor, how she's all smiles, everything is okay, every Christian has a say, it's all good, this is what we fight for. But I will show you some other clips where this is not the case. And again, stick with me in this video because I'm going to show you how Kamala, when she enters these churches, wow, it's quite shocking. So again, stick with me in this video.
I do believe Paul's message holds great urgency. As a nation, we face real challenges. That's why we fight for a democracy. That's why we fight for a democracy. Every voice is important. Every voice is important. Every voice is important.
Okay, I apologize for how awkward that gets, but I apologize for how awkward that got. Now, I am not able to confirm or verify if those Christian protesters got kicked out. However, just by analyzing how Kamala stood there and then stared and started clapping, I can make a pretty confident guess that something happened to those protesters. Also, the fact that the piano player starts playing, it's almost as if they talked about, look, if somebody starts shouting, play the piano, everyone starts smiling, everyone start clapping, we'll get through this. Now, something else I want to point out before we get into the other clips. This is how I know, with all due respect, Kamala Harris, you should not be in front of a church. She was appealing to St. Paul, who happened to write 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and other letters that talk about the leadership of the church, authority of the church. Do not treat church like a circus. Everything should be orderly. And whenever Kamala Harris goes into these churches, boy, is it everything opposite of St. Paul. So again, I think whoever's writing her theological sermons and her speeches, it needs to stop. Kamala is not winning with Christians. It's super evident because we are seeing past her lies. All you have to do is read the New Testament and you will see that what Kamala Harris is doing is not biblical and it's not Christian. Now, speaking of not Christian, let me show you why this is also so upsetting to see her. When she enters into these churches, boy, is it all about her and not about Christ.
I want you to make some noise for the voice of the future. I want you to make some noise for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. Come on, make some noise. Come on, we can't hear you.
Guys, that is not a UFC event or a boxing match. That is literally the introduction to Kamala Harris walking up on stage. That is a church event. Now, I got something even more crazy for you. This happened about a week ago from the time of me filming this video. Again, you would think Kamala Harris is entering into a boxing match or a UFC match because this is insane what her entrances look like at her last church service. Something else I want to point out in these entire spectacles is that, look, I understand Kamala Harris is one of the leaders of our free world. We are to protect her. So I actually get maybe giving her a side entrance or giving her some protection because we are to protect her and we are to pray for her. However, all of the cell phones in the background is absolutely insane. Again, this is just an isolated clip. Anywhere I go, there's literally cell phones everywhere. Literally everywhere. Everybody has their cell phones out in the middle of prayer and worship. And that is a big issue to me. You are literally praising the Lord, yet you have all your cell phones out for Kamala Harris. So again, this is really problematic for me. And whoever is like in charge of her PR, I don't know if they're Christians or not. They don't realize what is happening. You have cameramen, you have all of these phones in the middle of worship for Christ. However, it's turning into the Kamala spectacle. She has turned into the Holy One. She has turned into the Christ of the church. Now, there's something else going viral. It's Kamala Harris changing her accent and appealing to the audience around her and the crowd members. Now, I'm going to play that clip because I might as well. It is going viral. I will play it for you, but I want to talk about it, how this could actually be very destructive and a distraction. Let me just play this clip and we'll talk about it real fast.
For a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
Okay, so this is actually called code switching, and before we all actually get upset with Kamala, I will defend her here for a second. I know, this is crazy, right? Think about whenever you hang out with your friends compared to hanging out with your parents, you also have a different demeanor and a different accent. Now, a lot of people will say, well, look, Kamala is just pandering to the crowd around her. But if you watch every single Kamala thing ever, she's always doing what's called code switching. She's trying to make herself comfortable and try to make herself relatable. Now, the reason why to me this is just all a distraction, this is not important because we all do this in very subtle ways. She just does it in a way that's so obvious it's actually kind of hilarious. But again, we shouldn't be focusing on the code switching. We should be focusing on the context of what she's doing.
A century, you guys. We need to make this happen. We're gonna turn our backs and all right. And can you get the crowd?
Again, while everybody focuses on Kamala Harris changing her voice and everyone thinks it's funny, you're missing the context. In that last clip, that is Kamala Harris hanging out with a very anti-Catholic, anti-Christian group who uses the cross in very, very disgusting ways. Now, I will be making a video on that later. I don't have everything yet, but the Catholic Church right now is all in on making sure people are aware of how Kamala Harris thinks about the Catholic Church. That's for another video. But as far as this video, I hope you guys learned something that, look, I'm not denying that Kamala Harris claims to be a Christian and she tries to appeal to Christianity, but I keep showing you clip after clip after clip. She is severely misguided. She treats church like they are spectacles, political rallies. She is the leader of the land, but she has zero authority inside of a church. Even historically speaking, whenever you had church councils, the leaderships of the land always allowed the church leadership to have the say. So again, this is really, really sickening for a lot of Christians. As far as those Christian protesters, I assume it's probably going to keep happening because Christians now have a say in this election, like Kamala keeps saying. And I'm going to be honest with you, with all the data points and research I'm doing, a lot of Christians, Catholics, Orthodox, I consider them all Christians, they do not see Kamala as a fit candidate for their land of the United States.